Hi, this is part 3. So in case you guys didn't know, and you clicked on this thinking, ooh, trailer breakdown and analysis, this is part 3 of this trailer breakdown and analysis. Parts 1 and 2 have come out over the last couple of days, and even this part is not the final part of the breakdown of the trailer. However, I will tell you, this part has some of the coolest discussion about the trailer, and I'm really excited to share it with you. So if you haven't seen the other 2 parts, take a look down at the description and the comment down below, the pinned comment down below. That'll have you links to the first and second videos. And be sure to watch those first. And then now, without any further ado, I give to you part 3 of the Light No Fire reveal trailer. Enjoy. Maybe we're no longer trying to get to the center of the galaxy. Maybe the win condition is find the Atlas. Oh, man. I love this. But still, sailing in the game, clearly we have boats. There are people on the boats. We have to go from one continent to another, so it makes sense that we would want to use boats to get this done. And since it's a survival game, I would expect that, you can't just put all your goods in your pocket. You're going to want to put it on a boat, and your boat can only carry so much. So, you can only take so many supplies and resources with you. If you're in the middle of the ocean and something terrible befalls the fate of your boat and it sinks, do the objects that were on the boat persist? Can someone find your shipwreck and then take those objects? Do those objects rot over time? I hope not. I really honestly hope that there's no rot mechanic for salvage on boats. That's just too much, because then people will be like, oh, well, I would go down there and check it, but everything's probably rotted by now. No, give me a reason to go out and look for someone's sunken ship. That'd be dope. I'd be down for that. So, yeah, I think that's really cool. So this right away just draws a lot of attention to potential. When you see a scene like this, knowing we're dealing with planet-sized planets and ocean-sized oceans, I get excited. All right, so fantasy combat. PvE, here it is. So what we have now is we see archers that are very clearly shooting their bows at what appears to me to be boars. And, man, can I just tell you how gorgeous this is? Look at this. Look at that. Now, the important thing to note here in this little clip is the depth of the water. Something that I think No Man's Sky has struggled with is hard water lines and realistically flowing water. So if we take a look on this side here, that is very clearly there's depth to that water. Very clearly there's depth. And then over here, we notice that there is a slope. So now we're going uphill, right? So now we're getting some grade. And now that we have that grade, what looks like an actual river with some depth to it, now we get what actually looks to be sort of like a very shallow stream of water that is coming up through this rocky, I guess, gorge is what you would call it. So we actually see a very clear transition in terms of depth of water, going up a cliff and then into shallower water. Very difficult to do in games, right? Very difficult to do in games when the map is procedurally generated and we're creating an entire planet. So that, well done. That looks phenomenal. Just really, really, really good. So I'm so down for that. Now we have all of these guys. They've got bows, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, potentially 6. That might be someone down there. So now we're seeing up to 6 on screen at a time. And that is wild, cool, and crazy. So super excited about that. Let's go ahead and let's keep it going. Guys, I'm only 46 seconds into a 2-minute trailer. Now, we get another scene here. There's a lot happening here. There's a lot to break down here. So, in this one little second, what we see here are crabs. And then we have giant enemy crab. Let me see, does yellow work better? Giant enemy crab over here. And then another crab over there. And giant enemy crab looks very mad. He's got these weird purple glowing eyes. And he's got some weird purple, like if I were a fantasy guy, I would say it looks like some type of blight or corruption. I don't know if that's like a natural color on this beast, but this beast, it reminds me of some demon creatures from Princess Mononoke. That's really the images being summoned to the back of my mind when you think about the boars with that blight, just sort of like wisping around their entire bodies, and it's nasty and gross, and it curses people, right? That I get that feeling from this creature here, with that weird purple, and it's definitely an intentional purple glow in the eyes. So the cool thing is that Sean, when he plans these trailers out, he likes to put like the coolest stuff in like 1 second bits. So the stuff that would provoke the most conversation happens in those quick flashes. So what you end up getting is like a motion screenshot, which is really cool. That's best enjoyed at a quarter playback speed. And that's intentional because Sean knows we make these videos. And we're more than happy to just eat it up. We are. That's what we do. So that's exactly what we're seeing here. I would be remiss if I didn't point out there seems to be something here. The fantasy role-playing game action guy in me says, hit that. This looks like the target. That looks like where I want to hit in order to destroy this creature. And that's really, really cool. So the other thing about this guy is that he's like a weird hermit crab. He's got like this huge shell on his back, which is really cool. And then he's got like these claws down here, which are not typical crab claws. So he's like some type of weird hybrid crab-like beast that has just been corrupted and twisted into some type of new creature who is just now a boss. And our adventurers here are going to be facing off against this creature. Now, let's take a look at the player who is front and center. He just attacked a creature here. Let me get back into the pink. He just attacked this creature here. And that creature is, you know, sort of blowing up. But you see fire coming off the hit. That looks really cool. And why is there fire coming off the hit? Well, that's because there's fire on this dude's sword. Wow. Okay, cool. Cool. Let's go ahead and let's keep playing. So now you can see very clearly that, yes, that dude's sword is on fire. Really cool. I am digging that big time. So with this guy's sword on fire, another thing to take a look at, too, is look at this blue wisp coming off the end of the sword. That is distorted blue. Really good animations. Very solid fantasy-style animations. One of the things that actually has me super hyped for the game. And I noticed this even on the first watch, even though it's like a split second. I love seeing combat animations. I like seeing good combat animations because if it looks good and it feels good in the hand, and if we have something that looks and feels heroic or mighty, or like a big swing, you feel good. Like it just feels good. Combat from what we've seen so far, which is very little, looks fluid. It looks very well animated. It looks heroic. It looks daring. and it looks like a lot of fun. And just look at the spark and the flame as the hit starts to die down a little bit. That looks phenomenal. Unbelievable. But we have to rewind because there's something else happening on screen right now. So let's rewind just a little bit. So we get that. That looks great. This guy is shaking. Look at how this crab guy is shaking. See how he's shaking like that? That shaking, to me, tells me that he's getting ready to charge our player here with the flaming sword. That's a telegraph. That's shaking, and it looks a little weird because we're playing at a quarter of speed right now. That shaking is a telegraph. That crab is about ready to charge at our hero here. I'm sorry, we're not heroes. So that's another interesting thing. So he's getting ready to charge at our intrepid warrior here, and that's never a good sign when you see a big giant enemy crab just do that. I would be running. These guys are smart over here. They probably noticed the shaking, and Bunny Guy at least noticed, and he's running that way. This guy, maybe not so smart. He's running straight to it. I wish I could see the scene play out, but if I were a betting man, I would say giant enemy crab here is about ready to charge. All right, let's continue. So now we're back into normal speed, so we'll go ahead and take it back up to normal, and we'll unmute, and let's continue. So, I mean, like, straight up, guys, yo, yeah. Coolest thing ever. I mean, that's just cool. There's nothing to analyze there. We all see it. We all know what's happening. But there is something to analyze here. Hold up. I forgot. So, what I want you to take a look at here, bottom right-hand corner where my body is. So let me get out of your way. Boop. There we go. Bottom right-hand corner, you will notice that the character is currently equipping a torch. So much for lighting no fires. But he has a torch. Now, let's play the video here, and I'm going to go ahead and just take it back down to quarter speed. And as he mounts the dragon, watch it change. It is now a bow. It is now a bow. That happened automatically once the dragon was mounted. It is now a bow. Uh-oh. So what does that mean? What can we take from that little bit of information? Oh, you know, aerial combat. Shooting your bow while on dragon back. Why would I need to equip a weapon while in flight if there was not aerial combat? What are we fighting up in the skies, y'all? Why would I need my bow equipped when I got on my dragon? I don't know, but that's super cool. All right, cool. Let's keep it going. Let's take it back to normal playback speed. Here we go. So off we go, everybody. And just, again, just the gorgeous water here. And we have a player structure over there. There seems to be something like a creature over here. We definitely see a lot of players in this scene. We have one out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 again. So, again, we're seeing, 5 to 6. And we know there's a bunch of other players who ran the other direction. So there's probably about 10 to 15 different players in this one sequence here, this one-shot sequence that we've seen. So that's something else to bear in mind. There's a lot of players around. Wow. Okay, everybody. We're going to have to go ahead and get back to our playback speed of 0.25. So here we go. Let's mute that up real fast. Wow. And now look at that. This is just absolutely. Oh, I don't want to go 5 seconds back. It's going to take me 20 seconds to get there. All right. That. There's a variety of creatures and dragons. And look at the clouds. And look at the rain. And this is one of the few shots where now we're beginning to see what it's like at dark. But I don't think it's quite night. We don't have a lot of scenes like this in the trailer. But what we see here is a magnificent looking dragon. And really it's a wyvern unless it has arms, I think. Someone would get mad at me for saying dragons over and over and over again, assuming. I don't know if he's got arms or not, but what I do know is that he built different. And just look at those horns. It's wonderful. All right, now he goes. Now, of course, we've got the bird, which looks amazing. And really look at this vista. Look at that mountain. And just knowing you can go there. You can go there. Guys, you can go there. That's super cool. And then here, now, something interesting happening here that I think people would probably immediately notice is that there's not a lot. This looks very barren. Either things have not rendered in. One of the things that I think that's playing to No Man's Skies or Hello Games' sort of background, when we're playing their games, we recognize that there's pop-in and there's render, and there's render detail. But the thing is that in No Man's Sky, you have spaceships that go ridiculously fast. And in this game, you have dragons, which can go fast, but I don't think they go as fast as a spaceship. So the idea of draw distance and render times we would think would be improved. So my only conclusion is that that is actually what this ground actually looks like. We are in a place that is hard rock everywhere, moss and short grass of some type or variety is able to grow, but otherwise we are in a very hard rock terrain. So trees cannot grow, and that means that creatures really cannot populate this area very well because there's nothing for them to eat unless you eat the moss and the algae. But there's no place for which to take shelter or anything along those lines. So this is a very curious place. It certainly is a very unique looking biome. Places like this, I think, do exist in the real world. So that is, I don't think, a mistake. I think this is very intentional that the world has rendered this way here in this particular shot. And then here we get another shot where we're definitely further away and we see trees. So I don't think render distance or anything like that at all really played a factor in anything. This is definitely what we were intended to see in that previous scene. So here we go. And I think we're now back to normal playback speed. So let's go ahead and kick that thing back up to normal. Now, we have this little pillar here, which I think a player installed relatively kind of crudely because it doesn't look like it's appropriately supported, but there is a weird structure there. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's appropriately supported. I feel like either maybe the ProcGen had a weird rule and this structure was put here by the ProcGen, but kind of weirdly or oddly. It's not seated properly on the mountain. Or a player put it there, and it's one or the other. As we get close to it, it doesn't really ever get cleaned. It doesn't feel like it's neatly placed there. So I would say that's a player build. And then as we continue going... okay, I was hoping I could catch it at its closest, and what we're going to have to do is we're just going to have to slow it down here. So we'll take playback speed back to 0.25 and we'll stop. So that does not look like a player structure. I've seen a few people say it was. I don't think so. There's a place where you could certainly land a dragon on it. There definitely seems to be a point of interest. There's a contraption up there. I feel like that might be where we see our bunny walking in in the very near future. I feel like that is like a NPC structure. There are creatures living there. They are NPCs. I honestly think that is what we see. And we're still far away enough that it looks small, but I actually think it's quite big. But we never get closer. We really can't tell. But this to me seems like a environment feature and definitely not a player build. That's my take on it. We'll see as time goes on. But that looks really cool. I really do dig that. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and play this because this is a scene at night. So what I want you to observe is that now it's at night. So we do have a scene at night. And this scene is very strange. This is the only scene that is at night. Okay? Very important to note. We have a fire over here. We have a fire in this dude's hand. And as we continue to go, we suddenly begin to notice something strange, something eerie occurring here. So we'll go ahead and just let this pick up and play out. Now, immediately, what our eyes want to do, our eyes want to look at this giant metallic that looks metal to me, that gleam, that shine, that looks like a metallic object to me. We immediately want to say, yo, what is that? So then we just go a little bit further, and suddenly when this thing activates, look here. What's that? That looks like some type of shadow that suddenly appeared. Let's scroll it back just a little bit. All right. And I want you to pay attention. When does that shadow appear? I don't see it here right now. Do you see it? I don't see it. And then it appears right there. Then it appears right there. So it just sort of showed up out of nowhere. Ooh. Okay, we know Hello Games is capable of putting off some scary scenes and environments and provoking and soliciting certain types of fearful emotions. Like, we are aware of that. And now we could just have these little shade guys appear out of nowhere. Okay, all right, wow. And then we just continue this, and then there's another one. There's two. And then this guy turns on. Now, what does that look like, everybody? That is the same exact symbol that a knowledge stone would have. That is the same symbol you would see on a No Man's Sky knowledge stone. Same exact symbol. But now it's attached to the head of this weird metallic giant who sort of comes to life as our players walk into the proximity of it, which is super cool. So let's continue playing. And we get a bit further in there, and now you can really start seeing these shades over here. They're really starting to show up now. And yeah, there's clearly something going on down there. Let's keep going. And now you're beginning to see that they actually have a particular form. So their eyes are shining. You can see the lights coming out that way. And then they have these legs that are jutting out like that. So the lights and the eyes are really cool. These weird legs that are kind of coming out here. That is super cool. And you can kind of see like around. That is... Ooh. Meanwhile, this guy's waking up and he's doing his thing. But I feel like everybody saw that. You did not need me to point your attention to it. That is just weird, and I'm so down for that. Yes, please. And then we continue on, and those spirits, now we're getting more. Look, now we got more. Down there's 2 more that showed up. There's another one over here. And so now I'm counting 5 of these shades that have just appeared out of nowhere. Are they enemy creatures? Are they NPCs? Maybe ghosts from a long-lost civilization? But now take a look at this. Here behind the trees, there is a platform. And there's this weird, eerie glow here that seems to be summoning our players towards it. It would beckon me, that's for sure. I'd be like, what is that color? What's that platform? There's a platform back there. And maybe something that kind of goes down, maybe a dungeon. That would get me excited. So imagine procedurally generated dungeons. Well, you would have to do that if you're going to make a planet. We have to put in lots of places and points of interest, and we need to be able to go onto different dungeons, and they would need to be different. We've seen procedurally generated dungeons done before in the past by other studios, but I don't think we've seen a proper one done by No Man's Sky developers or Hello Games. So knowing how good their proc gen is and how well they know that technology, I would imagine we can get some really cool looking dungeons that would be fun to explore. They would have to be procedurally generated. Otherwise, we're going to keep going into the same dungeons. No one wants to do that. Sean Murray and team, they have the expertise to avoid having that occur. So the question is then, okay, how do we properly gamify and make every proc gen dungeon feel unique and or different, or offer appropriate rewards or not feel broken? That's on them to figure that out. But we're guessing, man, that's a dungeon. So you want this knowledge stone's knowledge? Well, then you got to beat the dungeon, guys. You got to earn it. So that looks really good. Let's keep it going. So now we're still going. And yeah, that definitely comes more into view. And now we see our shadows. They don't seem to be chasing our players, so it's hard to tell. And this guy is just still coming more into form and view as he looks down upon our players. There is this really interesting effect now that's occurring, and I don't think it's rain. So we have these lines going down like this right here. Really cool looking, and I think that's water that's falling off of this statue's shoulders as it stands up. It is raining, but notice the rain is going diagonally, a few kind of twirling off, but most of them are going at a diagonal angle, and you can see a few that kind of so it's very good realistic looking rain, right? But then you have this very clear light shimmer, and I want to say that's water, because you could see its stems starts from here. That's where these lines begin, and they appear as we're approaching the statue. So if we were to rewind it just a little bit, you see how those lines are not there, and then they appear and they're falling from off the statue. There we go. So that is occurring because the statue is actually lifting up. Now, another interesting thing about the statue is that an ear? What's that? So now I'm beginning to wonder, water physics, have they really properly created water physics to handle things like water pooling and then falling as gravity actually pulls it down from its ledge as the creature stands up. That's really difficult to do in general, but to do it in a procedurally based world, considering the dynamic weather conditions. Sean doesn't know if you're going to approach the sky when it's raining or if it's daytime or if it's nighttime or what have you. He has no clue. So if it weren't raining and it was a very dry day, having water come out from it doesn't make any sense. I feel like that's being like logically created or generated in order to say, hey, it's raining right now. There's water pooling inside of the statue. As he awakes, it should begin to flow from out of the neck of the creature. So that just a brilliant touch of detail, and knowing what Sean has to do to pull that off is just incredible. Sean and team, and there's steam coming out of here too. Look at that. Really cool. That whole animation is just really cool. Wow, that whole scene is just ridiculous.